I've got me for Father's Day.
It's
Hi,
nice.
Phil, and I'm here to make sure you know all about the Capes and Lunatics Patreon. Don't miss out on all new episodes of Wade's World, Boob Windows and Long Boxes, our Hard R movie reviews, and so much more, all completely uncensored. Access starts for as little as $1 a month, full videos when you pledge $3 a month. Check us out at the link in all of our show notes, or just go straight to patreon.com/capesandlunatics. Hope to see you there.
This is Luca Parrott, and you're listening to the Capes and Lunatics Sidekicks podcast.
I love Batman.
Yes.
Poor Ray.
That's the official intro now. It's like, I love Batman for Ray. Anyway, welcome back to another episode of We Are the Night.
D!
Yeah.
Anyway, I am Phil. Joining me as always, it is Tiffany with the Catwoman joke. All right, who are you?
Me? I'm Lilith Hellfire. I don't need an introduction.
You know who I am. And joining us, okay, of course, it's Long Halloween. Anytime we talk about Long Halloween, it becomes a trio. From the Krypton Report, it is.
It's Mr. Tyler Patrick. And,
Trinity in the house!
Yep.
That's right.
It's true.
If you subscribe to our Patreon, or the Southgate Media Group Patreon, yes, you can listen to our original review of the Long Halloween comics.
Good
I was
stuff,
thinking-
man.
I wonder. Yeah. I was thinking about re-listening to those, just like, oh, I want to, what were we saying and thinking then? And then what's weird is I actually started to reread this. First, I want to say this. My daughter is fine. Okay. I just want to say that. She was at the hospital yesterday or Tuesday for tests. And it was just, kind of like a routine, some tests, and she's all fine. And I was like, okay, I'm going to reread The Long Halloween. And I started reading the first issue, but Children's was so fast. They had her back, ran the two tests they needed, and she was out of there. And I was like, I am through the first issue and just got the Wi-Fi working. And I'm like, okay, I'm like, all right, well, now it's time to take her out to lunch. But I did not.
Nice.
Yeah. So I did not get to reread this as I had planned, So I watched it. I took some notes the second time I watched it, and then was been looking through the book to kind of see some things. There's a few. There's things I can definitely I know, but there's a couple things I'm like, I don't know. So.
Yeah, what was I talking to Connor McKenna? I was like, from Last Sons of Krypton, a Superman podcast. Yes, I told him I'm such an old man. I told him I'm such an old man. I have the original issues of Long Halloween. I'm like, I got them when they were coming out.
What's so funny is it's one of those books I've seen in the dollar bins or all those you'll every now and then you'll find an old individual issue of it. And it's always I feel the first issue or the last issue. I feel I never really find the middle issues singled, but
it was truly a long Halloween when we had to wait for month after month.
I bought the trade of this. I have a thing for wanting to buy used books. I don't know. I just feel like there's character behind them. I don't know. I love buying used books. And I was at the bookstore one day and there was a used copy of this. And I was like, why is there a used copy of this? Why does no one have this? And I bought it.
I don't know, just because they've reprinted it so many. I mean, they put this in trade how many times? I feel like this, maybe
Killing Joke.
This Hot, yeah, maybe Killing Joke, but that's a one story. But I mean, the collections like this, Hush, Death in the Family, I think are probably the three most reprinted Batman things.
And I think it was the first collection. It had the original cover of for the Long Halloween, and it was at a half price books, and there was a Dark Victory, so I bought them both.
Oh, nice,
clean sweep, yeah.
I like Dark Victory, the sequel where they introduced Dick Grayson because Lilith, of course, Kristen's Long Halloween animated. Does that mean we're getting a Dark Victory animated? I was like,
just you wait.
I predict we will. I mean, I predict that they will do a Dark Victory as a sequel to this within the next year or two.
All right. So some of these like animated like
Are you just gonna cut me off, Phil?
Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I just can't believe this is the 42nd DC animated movie. I
Well-
own them all, so it's just like the 42nd. Really?
What's
That's a lot of money.
Well,
So is
it's-
Mask of the Phantasm the first one?
no,
or-
no. They
No.
start Superman Doomsday.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's where it's because that's when they started making these just side direct to DVD videos, and they started there, and then it was like one a year or one every two. Now we're
Yeah, it
getting
was like one a year. Yeah, it was wild.
and now we get 4 a year.
Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching.
yeah, I haven't.
Milk 'em while they have it.
I haven't been picking up the last. I mean, I got what was that?
I think I stopped after Batman Ninja. I was just like, you know what? I took a break after that.
I didn't even
see,
go there. I got
that-
the last one I got was that Justice League one. What was that? That rebooted everything.
Batman Ninja was like a side one, and so it was like the Batman and the Ninja Turtles.
That
wasn't
one's
in-
a good one. But
that's
it's so
it's a side story. Same thing when they did the Scooby Doo and Batman Brave and the Bold, and also when they did the 2 Batman 66 movies. Like they're like a different division.
yeah,
that
if you
did
don't
those.
count those, if we count those, we'll be here all day. But like the main stories
Right.
are at 42. Yeah.
It's crazy because then you have like the death of Superman and then Reign of the Superman, and then they release it as a one movie. And this is
And then
the
they
first-
kind of soft rebooted it, but not really. So it's wild. DC animated universe is wild now.
it's like they have their continuity and then they have their side stories. And I mean,
Because everything
Based-
counts now.
I mean, based on the past 2 films of this style, this is my prediction that in Long Halloween Part 2, we'll have a post-credit scene with either the Flash or Superman showing up, and this Batman will be in that new continuity they're building after Justice Society World War II.
Yeah.
Unless they just do a end credit scene for Dark Victory or whatever. Because everyone watched the end credit scene on this one.
Yeah.
You know,
How do
and
we
then-
feel about the art style though? I was like, this is like Batman meets Archer. The
I'm
thick
glad-
lines are like, I don't know.
Well,
It was
I'm
better
glad
than the last stuff.
glad
but
you
this
brought that up.
style-
I'm glad you brought that up because it's just seemed very inconsistent to me. At some points, I'm like, boy, this animation looks good, but then at other points, it looks like you could see the lines around the characters almost
Well,
like
they said they didn't have time, as always with anything animated. Everybody could always use more time,
almost
and that's one of the things they definitely said. They mentioned about it.
okay, I guess, because it just seemed very weird. Some parts it looked great, and other
Yeah,
parts,
some parts were very fluid, and then other parts felt very
some parts, it
mechanical.
was like early South Park, where it's like
yeah,
you see
mechanical.
characters in front of it. Yeah, it's like
Well, I mean, okay, I don't know the term, like the animator term, but if you go back and watch when they did The Killing Joke, they definitely cheapened the animation and it is a little bit more mechanical and not as smooth to keep the budget down because it was going to be like the big rated R movie that they are putting out. And I feel like ever since then, for almost not so much the continuity films, but like some of these side stories, it's been a little bit more of that because you'll watch in certain scenes, you'll have that almost old school style of one thing is moving while the side people are all standing still. They're not moving in the background.
How very Simpsons of you.
It's like I remember like listening to Bruce Timm and it was Paul Dini maybe talk about when they were doing Batman Mask of the Phantasm, and all of a sudden they were told they're going to get a cinematic release, and the extra steps they had to do to pump up that animation and things they had to do to bring it to a cinematic level compared to just a home video.
Now, this did have a cinematic feel compared to, I mean, relatively speaking to everything else, but still, there were parts that I was like, Archer, okay, I'm just expecting that guy.
It kind of felt at certain parts felt like you had the background, and then you had the character laid over top of the background.
But everybody wants that hand-drawn thing, but they just don't do it anymore. So I think that's where a lot of things get lost in translation as well. Like they want that look, but they just don't do that anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
it just took me out in parts because it almost looked like two different people or companies did this movie because one
And it wouldn't surprise me if that's what happened, because with animation, usually that only happens with TV shows where they outsource it very rarely. But DC has been, Warner Brothers is very cheap nowadays. I don't know if you guys noticed. So I wouldn't doubt if that was something that actually happened.
I mean, even if the half I didn't like, if that had been the whole movie, I would have been like, well, at least it's consistent. But it just seemed like it was jumping back and forth. It's just like, oh yeah, this looks really nice and smooth and sleek, and then the next thing you know, it looks like like color forms on a thing. I was like, what?
Could be. It's like you just said, you had one company doing this part over here, and they're doing and then they got somebody else that take over and finish. Kind of like, when you're reading a comic, and you're flipping through, like, I love this art, and then you turn the page, and another artist did like a couple of pages of the book, and you're like, like you just lost me because that was just jarring. But I will say about this that I did like is I like a lot of the aesthetic they pulled from Batman the Animated Series.
You definitely see those vibes, absolutely. And that's what they're trying to get back to, is what they were saying in the interviews and stuff.
Think of the first shot of this film. When it says Warner Brothers Animation, it has the calendars. It looks like one of those old Batman the Animated Series title cards.
I mean,
you could the soft lighting and everything that would, show up before the episode started.
You could tell, because I don't know if it was just me too, but even just like Jensen Ackles, I think he's gotten the closest to the Kevin Conroy voice out of everybody else who's done it. And even like, I swear Troy Baker was trying to do more than usual, trying to do his Mark Hamill impression.
Oh, the cast was stellar, by the way. Also, this movie was dedicated to Naya Rivera, who passed away not so long ago. This was her last film role ever, so they dedicated the movie to her. I thought that was pretty neat.
Did she finish part 2 of this?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I was going to say, anyone who's listening to this or seeing this, go check out Batman on Film's last podcast episode. They did an interview with Tim Sheridan, the writer of the Long Halloween. Really great insight to the process, how he wrote it and approached it, and also some background on Naya. So it was really good to listen to.
I mean, what do we think of the story? I thought they kept. I mean,
they extended parts that needed to be extended, but I do feel like they gave us too much information on Harvey. If you know what I mean. But I think for people that weren't familiar with the story, that might help. But like the extended fight scene with Catwoman is my favorite part that they added. Obviously, it was epic.
You know what I really liked that they added was the actual Halloween to the Long Halloween. I love that you had that Bruce Wayne and Alfred, like we're the trick-or-treaters, and they're kind of like talking, and then Alfred does the disappear on Bruce. And then I like that we see the trick-or-treaters, and I like that we have Gordon with his kids. He's going to take them out, and we have that great line of Barbara saying, they're all counting on him, and then Babs says, but I was counting on him too.
See, that was one of the big changes, because in the original story it was just James. I think at that point, wasn't it she the niece? He adopts later on, but
we don't talk about that, Philip.
You think that's bad? And then any animated Barbara Gordon is just like, oh, you're gonna grow up to sleep with Bat. I mean, think how creepy that is. How old is Batman in this movie? And she's like, what?
And that's why continuity doesn't exist.
Exactly.
That's just Bruce Timm. Bruce Timm is
that's his thing.
Animator. But he has a thing where he likes the idea of Barbara Gordon and Bruce Wayne. I mean, it's all over. The animated
He's not
series.
shy about it either. So,
although it's not unheard of rich guys, dating or marrying women 20 years younger than them. So.
But your best friend, who you probably boinked, like that's weird. That's weird.
Yeah.
Thank you for the visual aid, Lil.
And that's why you should watch the YouTube, FYI. So Rob doesn't cancel us, sometimes we have to do the visuals. So supposedly this movie was delayed because of the Batman. I don't believe that. I think they were just running behind, as they always do on these things. You ever notice that they're always very behind on the animated movies?
Right, which is weird because you feel like they have it down to a science of a well-oiled machine, cranking 4 out a year.
And I don't think COVID even slows them down, because I'm pretty sure I've heard like on other stuff, even like animated stuff, you can work on it at home off your laptop and stuff.
Yeah, anime is one of those things that they're able to continue work. They find ways to work around through the restrictions that happened. But What's something? Let me ask you guys this and see what you think. What's something that was in this that you did not like? I have one thing that I really did not like, and going through the book, I didn't see it in the book. So I just want to see your thoughts before I say what mine was.
I feel like Jim Gordon kind of got the short end of the stick somehow. Like, I don't know, like they kind of switched out to put more focus on like Harvey's wife instead of Gordon, I guess.
That's weird. I mean, Gilda was like the weirdest thing for me because it's like I'm assuming it's that she can have children, but it almost made her seem like she's like a psycho who like, I don't know, killed children in the past because she's like,
yeah.
No,
okay,
keep children away from me.
So, do you want to hear my whole theory about this?
Okay.
Now, I want to say it's just my theory because we recently recorded our conversation, James and I, with our friend Brian. So I want to give it up to Brian Peters and Mr. James Cole, the man of muscles himself. We were discussing this, and the way that we're kind of maybe perceiving this is, and spoilers for a book. Okay, I know this. Okay, is that potentially that Alberto is Holiday, Harvey kills Alberto, and Gilda's the rest of the killer. And that it was Alberto who wanted to marry Gilda that Carmine wouldn't allow. Because there's clues about things. Because Alberto says, I wanted to marry and have a baby with, and it stops. He talks about her being from the wrong place. And then how Gilda is so hung up on issues that she's having, her and Harvey. We don't know how long they've been together. We don't know what the Roman may have done to her, that maybe she's not allowed to have kids or something, and that's why she's not a lawyer. Maybe she's psychologically damaged. Maybe that's why she's with Harvey, and that's I said maybe there's a reason why there's going to be something revealed. That's why The Long Halloween Part 2 is actually rated R instead of PG-13, because we know that when the book ends, it's kind of like, hey, there were kind of like 3 holiday killers, because Alberto, Gilda, and kind of Harvey. And with the way they play out Alberto's death scene, I'm thinking they're just kind of putting it like he's dead. And so I don't know. I'm just saying, like,
I could see that. I could see them doing like the book where he fakes his death. I mean, he could have thrown something into that propeller to make it look like blood, and
I thought the pacing was really weird due to that whole whatever they were trying to set up too. Like the first half of it, very fast paced, but then like towards like that middle to that end part, I'm just like, okay.
And is part 2 going to even have to be faster? Because it's just seems, I think we really got through the first 4 issues in part 1. So there's like how many, there's how much more than half left of this. There's like what, like 8 more, issues left. So it's like
July 27th, right around the corner, literally.
I'm wondering if
it's digital first and then the Blu-ray, but the part 1 they were same day.
Yeah, that threw me. That threw me too, because they released digital and Blu-ray on the same, and I think that's because they condensed the time frame
maybe
of when 1 and 2 are coming out. Usually,
I think they were testing the waters personally, because a lot of people have been asking for that, and they're just trying to see if people actually like voted with their wallet or whatever.
Well, I think it's dumb to do on this one.
Yeah, absolutely.
I always buy the physical. This is the first one that I'm not buying the physical because I know they're going to put it together and release it as one movie.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't sure when they were doing the Death and Return of Superman if that would be one movie, and then later they did.
Did they do all 3? That one and the Reign of Superman? I feel like I have that as a collection somewhere.
They did. So they did Death of Superman, Reign of the Superman, and then they released it as the Death and Return of Superman.
Okay.
So I bought, I bought all 3. So, but with this one going, that's part 1 and part 2, we know they're going to combine it into one movie and release that. And that's where I'll buy my physical copy. I've never watched the Dark Knight Returns as one movie. I have the 2 separate parts, and James has the 1 movie part. So I think if you wanted to test that waters, like,
they're just weird. Like, come on, Warner Brothers is in shambles. I mean, they don't have any executive leadership at the moment. Everybody seems like they're interim. So,
This is when the three of us should work. But
If only if my stocks and my Bitcoin would just come through. I would buy Warner Brothers in a heartbeat. That'd be the first thing I did.
Yeah, man, we had our thing going. Nobody's contributed anything for us to buy these things.
But
Slack.
I mean, that is weird. But I mean, we also expected that it would be like a couple months that we get number 2, and then they went ahead and like started advertising part 2, and it's going to come out a month later, which I like because I want to see.
Well, that cliffhanger you almost had to. You piss people off,
right? Because it ends in like a pause, like it has.
It's like an absolute episode of a TV show, but like an elongated, like an HBO Max elongated episode. So it's like,
and it gives you more time to go back and like maybe pay. I'm looking forward to watching it as one film. Yeah, because I want to see how the pacing goes to where they're trying to throw you off. Because I really feel like in the first part they're really building up that it's Alberto, and then you're like, oh, maybe it's not. And if they do it like the book, fine, I don't care.
Like, but it has to be a different twist. They always do that with the animated movies. So what's the twist?
And that's why I wonder if they'll just make it straight Gilda at the end, like she took over, make it a little bit cleaner.
I don't know.
A little bit more backstory.
I mean, that looked like a guy who killed Alberto, so I wouldn't be surprised if it was Harvey and Gilda. Maybe not, one of them discovers the other one's doing it, so they're even if they're working together or they're not working together. Just,
I mean, it could be if they really want to. It could be as crazy as Alberto had squibs, and he just had a goon shoot him. You know what I'm saying? And he fell, like you said, he threw something in there to. If they want to fake the death and go that route.
Or if they do kill him, like you were saying, I thought it was so obvious they were painting it like Alberto and Gilda had something going on, So I could see, Harvey's like, oh, you know what? Let me use the identity of Holiday, take out my wife's lover, and
So I mean,
Harvey's always been duplicitous. So
I mean, oh yeah, I had to write down.
Saying he's been of two minds of this.
Yeah, I think I have 4 lines written down here. You have a love-hate relationship with everything. 2 heads are better than 1. I want to win, but I don't want to win like this. I am of 2 minds. Let's see, that might be it. Like, so the one thing that, oh yes, good job, Phil. The one thing that's in here that I don't like is it's Batman that kind of sets Harvey up.
Gives him the coin for the first time.
He says heads we burn it down, tails we go home, and he says it's a coin flip, and it's a 2-headed coin.
He's the problem for all the villains. Don't you understand? He's the lying issue in all of Gotham's crime. I'm just saying.
I mean, even before that, before he gives him the coin, him and Catwoman were about to do it on that cash.
Well, we learned that.
How very Dark Knight of you.
I mean, we learned that in this film, like, there's already a history that Catwoman and Bruce have a, like, this is a year 2 story.
Cat and mouse game.
It's set up to us. It is a year 2 story, and at the end, she reveals in a very awkward way. She says Bruce, and Alberto standing right there and is like, Bruce Wayne's Batman.
So he had to die.
Right, he had to die, and I mean, but it just shows because there's a line that Catwoman says about like, there's a reason we haven't talked about this or said something, and I'll see you on the other side or something. Like, they know who each other is, but they still aren't. I don't know. But we just get the sense that there's a history, and then I never thought about it till watching this, that it's Batman's year 2, but all the major rogues are already in Arkham.
Yeah, and what was it? Was it Penguin?
That was a hell of a first year, bro.
I know, man.
And,
I
just didn't think about it like that before, because I thought about, I knew it was early in his career, and it was supposed to be like the story that kind of hands off Gotham from the mob to the supervillain. But I was like, I didn't think about who was already imprisoned, and.
Yeah, even in the comic, most of them were already there, except for, well, of course, Two-Face, but we'll get to him soon here.
Yeah,
So
you
I,
just
I,
can't think about it like that, honestly, especially in this particular movie. So
Well,
with
they didn't
this,
change as much as a lot of them did. I was pleasantly surprised. I was like, oh, I was thinking, I'll watch them not do Solomon Grundy, but they did Solomon Grundy.
and that's part of what that interview with Tim, where he was talking about when them, not him, but like the company was looking at doing Hush, is they adapted it into the continuity.
Yeah.
So they had to tweak and change things. But this is its own thing, and there's a way to. He doesn't say this, but looking at it, it's a way that you could start Batman's continuity with this
well,
story.
yeah, because they're getting ready to actually do the new animated continuity with Superman, Man of Tomorrow.
And that's why my prediction, because it's in the same art style, is that
Yep.
as a post-credit scene for this film will be the Flash and or Superman showing up, because they do have
To
that
make a
scene,
league of their own, you say?
because they do have that what do you call it? That scene in Man of Tomorrow where you have the picture of Batman. Remember they reference, and then of course Superman meets Flash and the Justice Society. And this is Batman's second year, so
Of course, he's gonna be a dick about it. I don't need no stinking league.
Look who's here. Hello, Russell.
Hey, Russell!
Hey! Unfortunately, haven't seen the movie, but hope this leads to a Haunted Night adaptation. Yeah.
No,
That's-
no chance.
that's the one story I could see them doing something with, like more of a, we're borrowing this from this, but not doing a
Not doing the full thing.
Yeah, but Dark Victory is the one
It's almost like a guarantee because they are trying to build up the Nightwing merch and repertoire, especially with the success of Titans and stuff. So I can totally see that to get in on the animated cash train for sure.
Where?
Because they did them dirty with Batman, Son of Batman. So you
Oh,
know
yeah.
that whole trilogy is really terrible for Nightwing, unfortunately.
great for Damien. Which okay, so side story real quick. What's funny is if you watch all those continuity movies, the only person who really has an arc in all those continuity films is Damien. Because he starts
Ironically,
right. If you watch where he starts, when he shows up in Son of Batman, and then you see where he ends in Apocalypse War, like he's the one that has a major arc and a change through everything. So just throwing that out there, like it's interesting to see.
You people want to see Flash that Lilith Hellfire's kryptonite on the screen? Damian Wayne and Connor Hawk. Damian Wayne and Connor Hawk.
Lord have mercy on my soul, please. It's truly the end time, guys. Grab your family and run for the hills. It's the end time.
But I mean, yeah, like I said, a lot of this they kept it the same. I thought Jensen, again, all the cast did a great job, especially Jensen Ackles. Like I said, I thought he was the closest to Kevin Conroy we've got.
Poor Justin Mel. I think they're getting ready to get rid of him. I'm like, poor guy can't keep a superhero gig to save his life. Shout out to Jupiter's Legacy.
I liked him a lot as Harvey.
Yeah,
I think he did it. And one of the things that Tim had said was when he wrote the script and like they casted with the idea of like if they were to say, hey, let's shoot this live action, the people they had could transition. With just they had that idea in their mind. And I was like, okay, that's cool. But yeah, the only thing is I like that. I don't know if Jensen did enough for Batman to Bruce Wayne. Like,
yeah,
I'm
everybody kind of struggles with that. Everybody, it's a thing.
But I'm glad it didn't sound like I was listening to him do his Dean Winchester.
I know, I was so terrified. Like when he first met Cass, his voice kept getting deeper for like 2 seasons.
Oh yeah, go back and watch season 1, and he's like here. But then when you get to like season 5, he's like eating gravel.
Yeah, him and Cass were having like a contest, and it kind of just stuck. So
he's like down here like
him and
Cass.
Misha are like, yeah, that's a him and Misha thing. It was really bad.
Cass, we have to stop this. And then season 1, dude, I'm 26. What? I can drive Dad's car. But it also didn't sound like his Jason Todd either.
Yeah, I was gonna say he did differentiate that at least.
So that was a relief because I was like, man, I just when you do I hear a voice actor comes back and does something else in the same kind of continuity or style or whatever, I'm kind of like, okay. But
Well,
I was
they wanted Jensen to be Superman on Smallville, so it's just kind of like WB. Come on, man.
it's crazy to think he was the choice if Tom had said no.
If he had said no the last time that they asked him, because they asked Tom like 4 different damn times before he said yes. So,
but my thing is, like, if you're gonna like audition for something, like, isn't the point of auditioning is that you want the job? I don't know.
We all know how Tom is. It is what it is.
Oh wait, Russell said, "Oh, there's
But he does have some Joker nuggets."
but there's a short and long Halloween with the Charlton here." And so yeah, because he's on a question kick. Yes, and because him and I covered Mask of the Phantasm on Happiness and Darkness. The Joker at Baloney log. Nope.
Where's the Joker nuggets?
Come on, come through, Six Flags. Come through.
Marvel tried the animated because I don't know, because I mean
they're not good at it.
No, not compared to DC.
Let DC have something. Damn it.
Yeah, DC's over them on the animated. Yeah, but then
out of 42 movies of the main continuity, I'll say about 7 or 8 of them actually stink, and I want my money back on them. But that's a really good ratio as far as I'm concerned.
I want to know which ones those are. Like, I'm interested in what those are. Both.
That's twisting it on Hush.
That's a podcast for another day. Remind me. Maybe over the break we could do something like that.
Oh no, we're gonna do that on Patreon so you can let loose with your full powers.
Yes. Least favorite and favorite DC animated.
Lewis bleeping worst DC animated.
Well, I'm just curious, because there is a few that I'm like, you could have been better, or even okay. For example, look at the cover art for the Long Halloween. They put the Joker right there, and he's not even that
for
big
no
of a
reason.
It's because he sells.
Well, did you see the cover for part 2 too? Because it's kind of like a half, because like the other half of the face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why couldn't it have just been Dent? Like Harvey, and then the other guy was Two-Face. You know what I'm saying? That makes a lot more sense. But no, the Joker sells.
Joker has his own toy line. Joker has his own book. Joker has his own sidekick. 2 sidekicks who all have their own spinoffs and now backup story, unfortunately. But
so Joker's
a king. Joker's a kingmaker.
So if you just happen to walk by and see this movie of Batman, there's the Joker.
The Long Halloween and Joker don't even go together. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying.
He shows up. It's like, yeah,
he's in it, but he's not. It's not his story.
He's just a rabbit. He's just a rabid dog at Christmas time.
Wild, like an animal.
So,
but yeah, I enjoyed the extra fleshed out Harvey stuff, but I feel like it didn't actually vibe well with the rest of the story. Like, Jim Gordon definitely got shortchanged a little bit due to that, and I'm just like, I'm here for Jim Gordon. Like, he's my guy, especially in this story. This is like supposed to be his time to shine, and they kind of cut his shine down a little bit.
I like the characterization of Jim in this. I like the way he's played and everything. I feel like it's Jim before the weight of the world falls on him.
Yes,
it's like it's that transition of. I'm doing the good thing, and then I'm about to just get plummeted with the world. So I was
gonna say, I think they really went heavy on the Harvey stuff, because I think that's gonna be his descent into Two-Faces. He's gonna realize Gilda betrayed him, whether it's with
she was being a two-faced, so he decided to be a two-faced jackass.
I think he already knows that something happened in the past. I think it's more of like it happened in the past. He thinks it's over, because there is that part where she goes to say something and he says, "Don't." And he like stops her and cuts her off from saying what she was going to say.
Or he realizes it's worse than he thought. Maybe he thinks maybe she just slept with him, but maybe it's like, she's been feeding them information. That's why he hasn't been able to arrest anybody yet.
He absolutely loses his stuff. They're like, we'll find another way to get him. And he's like, he goes on that little rage-induced rant.
That's your animated series joke, Russell. Big Bad Harv.
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, shout out to Billy Burke for voicing James Gordon. I thought he did a phenomenal
Yes.
job.
Yes.
He did. Did you guys watch any of the like the special 9-minute thing for part 2?
Nope.
Not yet.
So yeah, that's I'm kind of curious because part of me feels like maybe they faked this out in this one with like Harvey's in the hospital. They shoot him in shadow. You know, he's all
They were giving us Dark Knight vibes. I'm telling you.
you know, and then of course they pull back and it's regular Harvey. And part of me, and like I said, this is just me, thinks that they could be maybe making Two-Face like the last third of the next movie, like, you know, holding that off a little bit beat wise, because there's so much to put in the next movie that maybe the Two-Face stuff will actually be more condensed to a smaller part that's more emotionally impactful compared to just like looking through the book, how he shows up and he's there for, you know, a couple of issues. So because I mean, like you said, we only got through 4 issues in the first part. So I'm kind of hoping that the next part will be a little bit faster paced, but I don't want to lose out on too much, you know?
I mean, they kind of have to show all the holidays, but I wonder if they're going to like fly through some of those other ones. Because I mean, that end credit scene, I mean, we already got Poison Ivy, so.
And the end credit scene to me feels like, for example, like on Death and Return of Superman, the credits have these little snippets of like Superboy, Steel, the Eradicator, and Cyborg Superman. And it's in the credits, you know, leading to the end. But in the combined film, those little snippets are actually more fleshed out full scenes. And that's the transition from one movie to the next. To me, it feels like the Long Halloween, that scene is just going to be the transition to the 2 movies. You know, they'll have it'll end like it does. You'll have that like a fade out into this funeral scene, and then you'll go right into part 2. So that'll be like your connective part that really just bridges the 2 together. So
very interested to see. Like, I'm glad that they didn't put it into like that they did split it into 2 parts, but at the same time, I'm like, you only got through four issues, if that. Like,
I think there's
a secret part 3. I feel like it's gonna be a secret part 3.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised just to get those dollars, but I feel like they ended it where they did because it's Alberto's death, and that's
it's just a natural transition.
It's that point that made the most sense in the story of where we think we figured out who the killer is. You as the audience who maybe have not read the book or whatever, you think we're onto it. Oh, he's dead. So who's the killer? And then that's where your part 2 starts.
I think the biggest plot twist they could have ever done was actually make Calendar Man be the guy. I'm just saying we need more Calendar Man.
I know. I wonder if they're going to do more with him.
I mean, they got a pretty good guy to voice Calendar Man. I was like, what a waste of butter, man.
I know. I was like,
you know what would be
for him?
You know what would be interesting is in like maybe a post-credit scene or at the end of like a scene at the end of the Long Halloween Part 2. You have the scene that's in Dark Victory where it's Calendar Man talking to Two-Face, and Calendar Man basically says he figured out who Holiday was, and he goes to say it, and Two-Face stops him, which is one of those scenes and parts that kind of alludes to maybe it was just straight up Gilda.
Well, yeah, that's what I was wondering, because in the comic, yeah, because he would go back and forth and say, you know, oh, he is killed, but she will kill again. So I wonder if they're going to bring him back to do more of that, or yeah, if there's just going to be one killer, like Tyler said.
I hope so, because that just truly is a waste of butter. What a great voice actor they got to play that part. So I was just like, yes.
I mean, it's also interesting, like wasn't his first role or his first on-screen role or whatever was in The Dark Knight?
Was it?
I want to say it was. I read that or something, but I mean that's where I know him from. And then of course he went on to Ant-Man. He's been on The Flash. Now he's gonna be in the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, and Abracadabra on The Flash. Yeah.
So I mean the guy's got comic cred, and he's a great actor. And I actually look forward.
He's also in MacGyver too. So shout out to that for those that watch that show.
So I look forward to his Polka Dot Man performance. Just because it's him, he's
holding the whole DC universe. connective tissue at this point, truly.
He's got it on his back, you know.
Oh my
so-
God! You didn't see that? I guess people were complaining because I guess in the beginning of the Suicide Squad, people were bitching about Bloodsport shot Superman with a kryptonite bullet, and it's like
As you should.
it's from the comics, you idiots.
It's from the comic,
Exactly.
and
Comic,
Gunn,
yes.
Gunn has said that, and Idris Elba said it the whole time. You know, the only problem is if you don't subscribe to my theory, okay, then you're going to be like, okay, when did this happen? But see, my theory, I'm going to throw this out there real fast for everybody, okay, on here, because Phil, you got listeners here who probably don't always listen to me ramble. This is how it goes, okay? Follow along, okay, people? You have Man of Steel, you have BVS, Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, Zack Snyder's Justice League, Crisis. Then you have Justice League, Aquaman, Shazam, Birds of Prey, Shazam 2, The Suicide Squad, and of course Aquaman 2. All those films are post-crisis films. Because
So it was a secret crisis.
well, you had Ezra Miller show up in Crisis.
Ew.
So they told you that was part of the Crisis event. So that's my rationale. Is that's how it all fits in one canon. Is you got to throw Crisis in there, and then that's why you can't complain like, oh, why doesn't the Suicide Squad match up with Suicide Squad? Pre-Crisis and post-Crisis.
And is there any truth to the rumor that Grant's going to show up in Flashpoint?
I absolutely believe he will. They need to have some goodwill in that freaking movie. So I think that's very true.
One thing I read, and I didn't get time to dig, was that it's going to be like they meet in the Speed Force or something.
Yeah.
The other side of that scene we got.
That way he doesn't have to actually leave Canada.
So I think it would be awesome if he does. But, that's just my headcanon of like how like you have fans like, ripping apart like, well, they said this in this movie. And that goes back to the Bloodsport thing is it just means that it takes place after Justice League, but we don't know what, Superman it was. And, Gunn said, maybe it's Henry, maybe it's not. Hey, Solomon, you say hi?
Hi, guys.
Hi, Solo.
Home for the summer.
So
Hello, Spider-Man.
they like your PJs. Phil likes your PJs.
Thank you.
Welcome.
But he watched The Long Halloween with me, and
I was just about to ask you. I mean, because I'm so desensitized to it as a '90s kid that it's just like PG-13. Really? I wonder what the rated R is going to be for.
I was going to say Solo's a little younger than Luca, but yeah, Luca was kind of watching it with me too.
He watched it, and of course he was like, "Oh, the blood part," like where the guy's in the tub. He knows, but it's not like the animated violence of say something like Invincible.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, so it is like, okay, it's a little much, but I mean, it is PG-13, and he's seen some PG-13 movies, and we were watching as a family, and of course, so.
But Warner's, this part's PG-13, the next part's R, so it's like, hey.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, what's the R for? I think it's going to be for violence. I don't think it's going to be for nudity or even language. I think it definitely is going to be for violence.
I think
we're burning hard face off.
I'm leaning towards some sort of violent or some sort of subject matter.
Assault. Yeah, I feel like an assault might be featured.
And that's why I say like they keep alluding to like that's where like we put our Gilda theory into play that something happened. Maybe she was pregnant with Alberto's baby because he says I was going to have a baby with, and he gets cut off before he gets shot.
Wow, we're going to see her get back.
Gilda talks about can't having children. Basically, she's hinting around it. And then we know that Falcone took care of it or whatever. So I'm leaning towards more something in that kind of a subject area. That's why we have the R. But we'll see. But that's
I like that they left it to sit and marinate with the fans and let them theory crack because we just don't get that anymore with like the age of binging and stuff. That you don't get to really build a buzz and connect with fans like you used to. You know what I mean? I think that's another reason they really want to rebuild that community and fandom that has been very lackluster in the fandom because of Justice League versus Zack Snyder. That whole thing. I think they're really trying to bring the community together. That's another reason why I think they waited a whole month in between. Personally.
And I mean, part of why they're trying to do this one well, like they're trying to do it really well. It's not just like let's get it out there, because I don't know if you guys do it, but like every time for the longest time, when you'd buy the physical copy, it had like a thing to do a survey in it, and that like it always asked like, what stories do you want to see? And you know, the Long Halloween was always one that was listed to pre-pick from that other people, you know, over time it kept suggesting. So I feel like they are actually really listening to the fans with this one.
Well, this is the best thing they have going, and it's a consistent cash cow that they get a lot of praise for. They don't get a lot of criticism for many of their movies. Like, I know that Batman Ninja has its fans, weird as that is. So,
Well, I mean, it's because it's a like I listened to a guy talk about who's a true anime person, and it's an
yeah, they were
anime
trying
film.
a different hand, and it just wasn't for me. But it has its fans,
Right? You know, and you know, honestly, I will say like. At this moment, I'm really not that excited for an Injustice animated movie. Like,
really.
it's just
I mean, I think the cuts, they should just put the cutscenes together and call it a day. But that's just
because
me.
my question is, what story are they doing in Injustice? Because if you
I
look
think
at
it'll be an amalgamation of year 1 and year 2. It has to be.
because you have the comic that's like you said, it's like 1, 2, 5 years is it?
Yeah.
And then you have the video game where the video game is like two worlds colliding because you have a Justice League from one Earth who are put on the Injustice Earth, and that's whole story's the game. So is it going to be the comic book of, you know, the downfall?
I think more people know the game, which is why they would do that. Like, I know, like, it has its praise and its, you know, stuff and its critics, and everybody loved it. It's a darling, but the video game was more popular by far. So they would go with the popular thing.
And, you know, recently when I talked to George Newbern, I kind of asked him about projects or anything coming up related to kind of see if there's anything that we could get a hint that, because it would only make sense if you're doing Injustice, why not get the cast from the game to voice it? But it didn't seem like he had anything coming up, or he's just really slick and didn't. When I asked him if he had anything coming up, he's like, no. So
nothing that I can talk about. I love that answer.
I didn't even get that answer. So I was like, dang. But it just, you know, I would rather have more of like the original stories, I guess, in a way. Like I really do like Man of Tomorrow. It's not 100% perfect, but it is. I do like that story. I would like some more original type stories for animated than just straight adaptations, because we get the good ones.
Or you know what else you could do? It's like they adapt like the best and the most well-known storylines. Maybe adapt some like Batman and Superman storylines that maybe a lot of people don't know.
Yeah. It's weird though that they chose a Long Halloween, because like secretly isn't the Batman kind of loosely based on that as well?
Is it
which is maybe why it was actually delayed. Maybe there is some truth to it. Like, you guys got to tweak this.
Well,
or we got to take something out of our movie.
There's so many beats to just the average, you know, film watcher compared to comic reader that, I mean, we know that The Dark Knight had inspiration from the Long Halloween, but if you didn't know that and had not read that, just watching this film, you see the Harvey beats
Absolutely.
are, you know, lined up with how they did it in The Dark Knight. So it's kind of like we're coming back to that, you know, in a sense, with the Batman beats are like the Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just...
This is a solid B plus. Like I said, the thick lines of the art just kind of threw me. It's still better than what we've been getting, but like, and the pacing was good, but some of the characterization was off at times for me. But I'm like really actually excited for part 2. Like, I haven't really been excited for DC. This is the first thing that I've been excited about for DC in a long time. So I just hope that they keep doing well, at least in the animated world, because that's where their strong suit is, and they kind of know it now. I think they for sure know it now. And they got to hold on to it for dear life to please the stockholders.
Yeah, Tyler, what did you give it?
Man, I'm looking at that B plus A minus thing, and I'm gonna. I think right now I'm kind of at the B plus because of some animation things, but also I feel like if I could watch it all as one, maybe. I feel like there's like, I'm gonna have a rating for the first.
That always changes your mind. It's kind of just like if you sat through the full 4 hours of the Zack Snyder Justice League cut, or if you took breaks. I feel like that definitely turns some people's opinions. Like, if you just had to sit straight through it, you need a break. You know what I mean? But this one, I think it would definitely like one part and then watching the second part versus just watching it straight through would probably give you a very different perspective.
So I'm gonna say a B+ on this one. With
And we'll revisit it once part 2 comes out.
Right. And I think then I'll have a rating for part 2, and then I'll watch it together and maybe have a different rating. But the other thing I was going to throw out real fast, one thing I didn't like was from a production point, I don't feel like they didn't give us any kind of great indication always. A couple times they did of when they went to the next month, especially from October into Thanksgiving was very jarring. Because like you have the house explosion, and like I said, this is from a movie point of view, not like having the book. And then you see like Batman running at night, and they're like, there's a line dropped about Thanksgiving. Like there was nothing that like a calendar page turn or that said November, or like, you know, even at the bottom it said like November. To really kind of help us like where we were. I mean, we had the great transition of like the house with the snow, with the lights, like, oh, now we're in December for Christmas. So that was just a kind of a, you know, from picking apart, like just because it just felt very jarring when we got that transition.
But yeah, I think I got to agree with Lil's B+. Just, I mean, yeah, there's some of that animation through, like, you know, took me out of it from time to time. But I think they stuck to the story for the most part. You know, there wasn't like huge changes and.
Not yet. Like I said, because it's an adaptation, they do this with every single adaptation. There's always that twist where they change something, and I'm very excited. I'm not even nervous. I'm excited to see what the twist is, where they're going.
I just feel like they have to nail the end. They have to nail the killer.
They have to, yeah.
Because that's
the point. This is a murder mystery.
I mean,
we're the Scooby Gang, guys.
That was the biggest downfall in Hush. You know, like even with some of the little changes like throughout, I could see why. But then when they got to the big reveal, that's where you got the division of people who liked it or didn't like it and was really upset about parts that were left and changed.
Let's not even get started when Batwoman tried to do that. I'm just like, bro, this is your first season. What are you doing?
So you have to be able to nail the ending. Or if you don't stick the landing, it just was nothing. So that's my only fear going into part 2 is like they'll try to do too much of a twist, or not enough, or it'll just kind of falter and you'll be like, it was great until the reveal. So
yeah, but I think they're gonna nail it. Like I have a feeling in my gut that they're gonna nail this one.
It does have that better like care.
Yeah, it feels like they actually cared. It was just slapped together for a cash grab. Looking at you, Killing Joke.
Yeah, it was good. I'm just worried.
I think this was a passion project for sure. Like it just feels like it's a passion project.
Yeah, I'm just worried they're going to try to pack too much into part 2.
Do we know how long part 2 is going to be? This one didn't feel that long, but like when I looked up at the clock, I was like, oh, I've been watching it for this.
It was like what, an hour 20?
Yeah.
And I feel like they've been getting longer with these movies. So I'm wondering if like
85 minutes.
I'm going to say that part 2 is going to be maybe 10 to 20 minutes longer than this one.
Yeah, I'm shooting at like 90 minutes or so.
Yeah, because I feel like this one's a little bit shorter because they wanted to end it at a specific place for storytelling wise. And I feel like the next part's going to be just a little bit longer, at least 10 minutes, you know, longer to help finish out the story they have to get through.
Hold on, I'm trying to look this up now.
Plus, I figure when they put it together, they don't want a 3-hour animated movie, but like a 240, 230. Yeah. So,
I'm not seeing it. I'm looking, but yeah, that's weird. Yeah, the digital will be July 27th and Blu-ray August 10th.
Wow, that's
yeah, I know. Considering part 1 was same day, yeah.
Well, it could be.
Also, I don't know. I just don't buy Poison Ivy working for the mob. By the way, that's my pet peeve. I've never. She's working for a man, really.
I figure she's like controlling him. Like that's always her thing.
I can go with that.
You know what I'm saying? That's always her thing. Is like she's in control, but it's the illusion that she's not in control. So
Yeah, she's using them for something. But I mean,
Something.
what's like at the end? It's like basically, all the villains are like working for Two-Face at the end. I'm like, Joker's not going to work for Two-Face.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
Joker would just hang around because he thinks it's funny that the guy that was just trying to stop him's now on their side. Like he's just like, I could see him being just more like, I'll just hang out because this is funny to watch.
Well, yeah, then
Secret sabotage, buddy. Secret sabotage.
but then the minute Two-Face puts a gun to Batman's head, Joker's gonna be like, no, that's my boo.
Although they both have some skin in the game, as it were, so I guess you're gonna have to flip that coin.
Well, Harvey not as much skin in the game.
Get out.
I'm looking. I can't find a runtime for part 2. Oh wait,
They don't want us to know.
it looks like it's about the same time. Well, this one was 85, and it's if this is right, it's saying 87 minutes. So it's like 2 minutes. This one.
We'll see when it comes out. We'll see.
I mean, I'm surprised some of them they put out. They're only like 70 some minutes. I'm surprised.
Well, that was their thing for a while. Was they had it down. It was 71 minutes. Like I said, it was a well-oiled machine. They knew exactly what to do. They had their times. That
And they were definitely marketed towards a younger demo at the time as well when they were doing that. Now they know who's actually buying it, so they're not afraid to extend that runtime.
I mean, if the story's good and you're not like dragging it out, I don't care if you give me a 2-hour, animation.
It's one of those executive leadership decisions, like how Justice League could only be 2 hours long. Meanwhile, Endgame was how long?
3 hours.
I mean, it's like technically, in all reality, you could have just released this as one movie. Like just took, made the how it is right now and just released it as one. But they make more money by selling us part 1.
Well, of course.
And part 2. So I mean, I
can't be mad at the game though. You just got to respect it.
That's why, like I'm sure someone at Warner Brothers now kicked themselves a lot thinking, why didn't we split every Harry Potter movie starting with number 4 into 2 movies?
They're remaking Harry Potter. Don't give them ideas, quiet as that's kept.
So that didn't take too long.
But on that note, we should probably get out of here.
That's right.
I got kids to put to bed, so I let them stay up. I said they could stay up if they were good for me, so I could do the podcast, and they've been really good today. So
don't want to push it.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah. All right, everyone. So yeah, send us your thoughts on the Long Halloween Part 1. Maybe one Part 2 when we cover Part 2. We can read those. Next time you'll hear the episode Lilith Hellfire and I already recorded, Batman Shadow of the Bat number 6.
Cool.
And then in 2 weeks, the next thing we record, JLA 65, Batman and Plastic Man. Because
get bent. Get it? Get bent.
That just makes me think of that Matchbox 20 song.
And then if you think that's crazy, the episode after that, we're covering the Batman Spawn crossover issues.
Hey, that's awesome. Yeah, I have one of those. Which one do I have? I think I have the first one.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do both because like different writers, different artists, they're completely different stories.
It's like Whiplash.
It is. Well, Frank Miller does the one, so it's like
Sweet.
All right, kids. So yeah, send us your thoughts. Email us capesandlunatics@gmail.com or call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-capes. And remember to follow We Are the Night on
Batman
Podcast. Remember that, Ray. On Facebook, Twitter, find links to all of the various social medias for all the shows, links to this.
Facebook can't keep us down.
That's right. They keep trying to kill that Batman page and they cannot. All right. And links to this YouTube. See Tyler Patrick's boyish face. Get links to the Patreon. More and more stuff coming there. Don't miss July's episodes of the Wade's World Annual and the Ultimate Spider-Cast Annual.
Yes, and Juggernaut.
Yes, and Juggernaut. That's right. All right. So links to that, links to merch, all in one place. That's Linktree, linktr.ee/capesandlunatics. And please remember, support all things Southgate Media Groups. Go to southgatemediagroup.com. Check out everything there. Check out the Southgate Media Group Patreon with a bunch of free content from everyone on the network, including us, including Krypton Report, everyone. And there's
I do my second show is just Patreon when I do it. I do one a month for
Nice.
Patreon.
Nice.
So yes, free stuff and paid content there. So check out the Southgate Media Group Patreon and pick up Pod Life the book, Volume 1, now in digital and paperback. Catch it fast before Volume 2 comes out with Mr. Tyler Patrick.
It's gonna be good.
And when you buy Volume 1,
Yes, you could do that on Amazon, Lilith Hellfire's favorite place. When you do, use the link for Southgate Media Group right down there in the show notes. Help us support this show, the network, and that crazy
that escaped Joker from the asylum.
that mental rogue himself, Rob Master Doom Southgate.
Make it rain, so says Master Doom. Why did your eye drift over to my box? Mark my words.
All right, Tyler Patrick, where can people find the Krypton Report?
Well, at the bottom you can see my Twitter handle. I'm pretty much anywhere. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and you'll find links to everything through our link tree, which is on all of our social media. Everywhere a podcast is, I've discovered, is where we are. Just learn more on Amazon Music and on Google Podcasts. Just learned that was a thing.
Right.
Oh, nice.
So-
I'll put you on my Amazon Music then.
All right. Will Hellfire, you're the Charlie Esther tonight. Bring it home.
Well, if you nerds want to hang out with me on the interwebs, you can find me on Twitter at Lilith Hellfire, on Instagram at Lilith Hellfire69, and of course on TikTok, making crazy comments at Lilith Hellfire69. Shut up and just lay there.
All right, Russell, you still there?
Does Russell like it long? Does Russell like it hard?
He likes it long like Halloween, baby.
Yeah! All right. Thank you.
Nobody tell Rob.
Nobody's got it. Even Ray isn't going to hear this. Thank you for joining us, listeners, viewers. Thank you, Tyler Patrick.
You're welcome.
Always insightful. Next time, it'll be back to me and Loaf and this. Again, Batman Shadow of the Bat number 6 next time. The birthday JLA 32, and then the Batman Spawn Oh, did everyone see my light?
That's awesome.
He gave us the signal!
I was gonna say, Danielle, she cuts the light. All right, it's time to go to bed, honey.
5 more minutes.
Still just fixing a little night light.
Alexa, turn on bat light.
Night vision.
All right, kids, join us next time. Same bat time, same bat channel.
We are the night.
Batman podcast. Don't forget it, Ray.
Don't make